I mean, it's a kind of a long story, but it's interesting. I'm working on a book right now. My 81-year-old mentor, Dick Landis, lives in Prescott. He had a heart attack recently. Got a pacemaker. The guy's, we'll hike 25 miles together. The guy's sexually active at 81. He's, a brilliant chef. But the heart attack kind of, it's one of those mortality checks for him and for me. And he's done so many fabulous things in his life. He has weavings in the Smithsonian. He's made some of the greatest meals I've ever had in my life, and I've eaten at some pretty great places. He's made some of the most phenomenal wines that I've had, and actually the wines that he made were made out of heirloom apples, and that's how I got into winemaking. I was working as a field ecologist, studying rivers, and I would actually get paid to kind of rate the health of perennial streams in Arizona. So I would get paid to hike for months on end. And I met this gentleman around that time. That's another long story, but he turned me on to apple winemaking. And I said, God, I'm out along these rivers all the time, and there's these old homesteads with abandoned orchards. And so I started backpacking these heirloom apples out, bringing them to him. We started making wines together. And the epiphanous moment where I became a winemaker was when I made a wine with him a year later. I cracked it, I sniffed it, I closed my eyes, and it was like one of those, like in Star Trek, those rooms with the holograms. All of a sudden, everything around me changed, and I was back at that place where I picked those apples. And it wasn't just the smell of the apple. It was the grasses in the fall that had gone brown, the leaves falling off the trees, the little brook babbling. And it was the first time I realized really deeply that wine really was this expression of place. You hear it all the time, terroir, blah, 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 but that was my kind of seminal religious moment. And that's when I started calling wines landscapes, liquid landscapes. And I was possessed after that. I stopped teaching. I was teaching at a college. I stopped teaching in the fall so I could go out to California and volunteer at Harvest. I was single at the time. Every cent I had I spent on wine. I bought wine books. I read voraciously. And because I had that experience in Arizona, I wanted to come back and be an artist here in Arizona. I was a scientist before that, a scientist of landscape. All of a sudden I realized, wow, I could actually be an artist of landscape too. And that's what I'm trying to do, and I'm on that quest. I think there's a lot to be done still in my life and everybody's life, certainly here in Arizona, but to me, being on this landscape frontier is pretty exciting.